guys, welcome to Books Amaze. My name is Avni and today I have an amazing book recommendation for all of you guys. The book's name is Janaka and Ashtavakra, A Journey Beyond, written by Ashraf. Karayath. This book was sent to me by author himself in exchange for an honest book review, but I liked it so much that I'm going to include it in my Authors on the Rise series. This is a series in which I include books that are either sent to me by author themselves or the books that I read by myself that are by first-time authors, which I like so much that I think that you all should give it a try. So the book's titled Janaka and Ashtavakra. Janaka and Ashtavakra were two characters from our ancient Indian epic Ramayana, where Ashtavakra, the literal meaning of it is a person who has 8 physical deformities. So Ashtavakra was a sage, an enlightened guru who had a crippled body, and Janaka was his disciple, who was the king of Mithila, who was also the father of goddess Sita, and he was one of the few enlightened kings. So the whole dialogue between Ashtavakra and Janaka, where Ashtavakra is imparting his wisdom to King Janaka, is also known as Ashtavakra Gita. I think most of you might already know about Ashtavakra Gita, but I agree that it's not as popular as the Bhagavad Gita, and there could be many reasons for that. First of all, the Bhagavad Gita is a dialogue between Lord Krishna and Arjun, and popularity wise, Lord Krishna is more famous than Ashtavakra. Secondly, you can say that Bhagavad Gita is a more summarized version and an easy way to get an introduction to the vast knowledge of Hinduism, whereas Ashtavakra Gita is a bit more complex and goes into more depth. And then of course the third and the most important reason, the Bhagavad Gita is a part of our Indian epic Mahabharata, and there have been so many television series being made on it, there have been so many books written around the stories of the Mahabharata, and there's hardly any coverage on the Ashtavakra Gita. Even when you read about Ramayana, or even when you watch any series on Ramayana, you'll hardly know about what happened to the kingdom of Mithila before Lord Ram married Sita. Although there's not much philosophical difference between both of these Gitas, but the main difference is into the depth in which both of them goes into. The Ashtavakra Gita goes more deeper into the philosophical and spiritual aspects of life, and hence it's a bit more complex in its subject matter. It is more suitable for a person who already has sufficient spiritual knowledge and has a strong inclination for deep contemplation. But that's when this book comes into the rescue. So this book presents the Ashtavakra Gita through a very interesting story format, so that we can easily understand the turn of events that happened in the kingdom of Mithila and what led King Janaka to get enlightened by Ashtavakra. So to give you a brief about the story, King Janaka was a Videha king who had to look after his kingdom of Mithila. Then there were these hush-hush talks that a demon king Ravan is about to come and abduct Sita and plans to destroy the kingdom. Then there was this task of finding a suitable groom for his daughter Sita. There were some confidants of the king who mentioned him that there's a traitor in your own kingdom and you have to find him and punish him. So clearly there was a lot going on with the king, and amidst all of this, he was also constantly searching for eternal peace. So King Janaka was always more spiritually inclined, and he was constantly finding answers to his questions, such as how do I keep a balance between war and peace? What is my purpose of life? How can I become enlightened? And things like that. And one day finally he meets Ashtavakra, and even though Ashtavakra had a crippled body, he had 8 physical deformities, but even with that he was very confident, he was highly intelligent, and he was very enlightened. So finally they both sit together and they start their learning. I particularly really like this book because it is written in a very character-driven story format, where you will get to know the background of each and every character. And in the starting few chapters, there are 2 parallel narratives that goes on. One is the narrative of the King Janaka, how he is trying his best to save his kingdom, and the second narrative is of Ashtavakra, where you will get to know his background, where did he come from, how did he get those deformities in the first place, what's his ultimate motive to go to meet the King Janaka and give all that knowledge. There are also some chapters that mentions in brief about goddess Sita. How did she came in King Janaka's life? How did she met Lord Ram? Who was King Janaka's wife? Her background. Who was King Janaka's brother? His other daughters? His enemies? You will get to know them all. Some of the scenes are so powerful that it gets etched into your memory, such as the first meeting of King Janaka and Ashtavakra, Sita Swayamvar scenes, some of the war scenes, they were so vividly described that you feel that you are there. Whenever Ashtavakra Gita is talked about, it is mostly about the dialogues, the spiritual dialogues that were exchanged between Ashtavakra and Janaka. But this book not only provides that, but also the background of each and every character, so that we can easily understand them, we can easily relate with them. Although I wish that the spiritual aspect of it could have been touched upon in more depth, but even if you are a beginner and if you are not so much spiritually inclined, then you will definitely get the gist of it. There are only two things that I think could have been better with this book. First is the first 40 to 50 pages of the book could have been a little more pacier. So the build-up was a little slow for me, but then the book becomes so pacey that you just can't stop reading it. And the other thing is that the copy from which I read, the paperback copy, which is printed in US by Fox Tree Publications, the fonts in it I thought were too short. And I mentioned the same to the author as well, and he will take this into consideration whenever the new copies will be printed. But this is not a case with the copies that are published in India. So the copies that are published in India are published by Rupa Publications, and he showed me his copy, and they were quite spaced out and big fonts. Although it's a very minor thing, but if you are a picky reader like me who likes to read from big fonts, then definitely the copy which is from Rupa Publication has bigger fonts in it. So to conclude, I would say that I really liked it and you should definitely read this book. Of course, you should read the Ashtavakra Gita as well, but this book is a very good place to begin with if you want to read Ashtavakra Gita. Language is pretty simple, it's beautifully written. The author has done more than 10 years of research before writing this book, and he's also attended some creative writing workshops which clearly reflects in his writing. And it's under 200 pages, and this book has already become a bestseller in the US. And if an Indian author's book, a book about Hindu scripture, can become bestseller in the US, then it definitely is a big deal. So go ahead, give it a try, especially if you like to read books about spirituality, if you like to read books about how kings ruled their kingdom, if you like to know about how to balance your personal and professional life, or simply for the joy of reading a book that talks about enlightenment, about self-realization, about a pious relationship between a teacher and a student, then you will definitely like this book. So go ahead, give it a read, and for that I am mentioning the Amazon link of this book in the description box below. You can go ahead, click that link and buy this book. And if you like this video of mine, don't forget to give a thumbs up to it and comment down below what are you expecting from this book. And I hope to see you soon with another video of mine. Till then, take care of yourself and keep reading.